Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday to everyone and welcome. Ooh, that's creepy. Something's going on with the door behind me. It's Friday. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Why is it moving, Michelle?
I have ghosts.
Okay. As long as they're friendly, as long as they're Casper light.
What would you do if Winnie was just down there like creepy as hell? By the way, I like the hat. I like everything that's going on. Guys, today's one of those funny Fridays because we got all the rest of the All-Star reserves. Oh, did you replenish? Oh,
Not again. Not again.
You're on. This is like a store, and I can't wait to visit. Everybody gets the good news yesterday, right? Like all the reserves are like, oh, cool, I'm an All-Star, and then we immediately go to Snubs, which I think is one of the funnier parts of the All-Star. But here are your reserves in the West. AD, Harden, Şengün. Rockets were very happy. Their social media account was very excited. Jalen Williams, amazing. Ant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Wemby. All right, let's start there. I believe he's the youngest Spur to be an All-Star, which is kind of cool. But can we start with Snubs, Danny? I mean, that's the first place we go when this list comes out. Was there anything that really struck you?
I mean, I think every one of those guys on both sides are deserving. So I wouldn't say replace anybody or take somebody off because I'm happy for everybody, especially first-time All-Stars like Şengün. It's great to see Jaren Jackson on there again. But I thought Sabonis' numbers were kind of crazy this year. Norman Powell had a great case with them being in the top 6 for most of the year without Kawhi. So there's a couple guys out West. In the East, I think it's pretty fair. There was a lot of injuries. But on the West, I said I would have liked to seen, even though Sacramento's 10th in the West, one of those guys, De'Aaron Fox or Sabonis, trying to find a way to slide in there. And I would have been a great year for Norman Powell. I thought he had an opportunity to get there.
Yep. Yep. I gotta agree with Danny. Yeah, outside of everything, you could make a case for Norman Powell. Like he kept the lights on for the Clippers when guys were injured in and out of lineups. He was there. He was the consistent until he started missing some games. But he was your leading scorer for a lot of that season. If not still at this point, he was just your rock. So we can make a case for Norman Powell. But like Danny just said, all of those guys that are on that list are very much deserving. So it gets down to who would you replace this guy with, right? Like who did he outplay?
Yeah.
And one thing that I am starting to see now, so now we are valuing winning now. So winning is part of the criteria. So we should take that with our MVP cases as well. So we got to find consistency in how we're gonna rate these things. On one hand, it's about numbers and it's about name, it's about likeness, it's about celebrity. And then on the other side, it's about impact and winning. So we just got to find some simulants in these arguments, but I wouldn't take anybody off of the Western Conference at all.
Is the Norm Powell thing just simply the Clippers got Harden, so we're not about to give them two? I mean, I'm trying to figure out the logic behind some of these.
It is All-Star weekend. It comes down to star power. You have a guy that's already been a perennial All-Star. He's part of that fraternity of guys. So if it comes down to picking him opposed to somebody on that same team that could possibly be their first time, I think the NBA always going to hedge its bets on the guy that's been there already. And that's the business of basketball. That's just how these things work, unfortunately.
By the way, all I can think about is like Sacramento Kings fans just feeling the utmost disrespect as a result of both of their stars being snubbed in this one. But I do want to show you guys 2 blind items. I love blind items. A couple of resumes side by side. I love the silhouettes.
Well, the silhouettes aren't great, but okay.
Right.
I solved the mystery. But in all seriousness, the numbers, if you look from left to right, the right has a pretty dominant edge across the board in all of the categories. And obviously, if you know the silhouette game, that's Sabonis on the right and Şengün on the left. Please tell me why we're looking at a situation where he's not in it. Danny.
48% from 3. Wow. These numbers are impressive.
It's like his best career year.
Yeah, and like Lou was saying, we're actually valuing winning now, and that's why you see Cleveland out east got 3 people, which I was shocked, but surprisingly happy for them that they got 3 guys there, because usually they go with the star power and the names in Cleveland, the market. People don't look at them and say, oh, we got 3 all-star or 3 stars here. Usually you'll slide in a Trae Young or a LaMelo or something like that, but they're valuing winning, which I love to see. It should be taken into account. Winning matters, and when you go on MVP voting, winning matters. So when you look at these two teams, Houston's second in the West, which they're not, the team that's up and coming anymore. They're here. They're letting it be known they're here, and they're a serious team like that can be in contention this year, or can be at least in the Western Conference Finals. So Sengun and company, they've done it collectively, which I like. Which it was hard for me to pick one person in Houston, and be like, oh, that's the guy, because they've done it different people, night in, night out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll be Jalen Green, it'll be Fred and Dillon. Now you got Amin Thompson, who's been balling unbelievably. You got Jayshawn Tate off the bench. Like they find ways to win games with other guys. It's not just one guy night in, night out that's carrying them.
Yep. Listen, and you know what? And I'm gonna tell you this, guys. I look forward to basketball after All-Star Weekend. Devin Booker came out and made a statement about politics. That was interesting to me, coming from Book, because you guys have struggled, man, and you know how this thing works. So if there are guys that's playing better basketball, salute those guys. I didn't see the politics in that. I didn't all the way agree with him. I understood the sentiment, but I didn't all the way agree with him. But you got guys like him making statements. Sacramento Kings snubbed again. You got guys on their team, nobody's being recognized. There's going to be a lot of chips on shoulders. Ja Morant, he wore the Pooh Shiesty last night. If I'm guessing that he was just a little frustrated with not being added to this party. Only criticism that I would give to him for that is, celebrate your teammate that did make it. I'm sure he did that behind closed doors, but in the public, it looked like he was upset about his own position, which is fair. But I still would have liked him to see to celebrate JJ and him being selected. But it's going to be a lot of basketball, a lot of chips on shoulders.
Oh yeah.
It's going to come down
a lot
to
of smoke. I can't. That's what I like to see. The smoke after the fire. So after the All-Star game, who's going to come out with the chip in their shoulder and let it be known? I should have been an All-Star. There's going to be a couple guys that's going to be playing that type of basketball. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
I do love a good chip on the shoulder. I'm a little bummed with Trae Young last night because I thought for sure he was going to come out and drop like 40, and he didn't have that kind of game, and he's obviously upset. But first, let's take a look who did make it. Here we go in the East. Jaylen Brown. Darius made it, friend of show. Damian Lillard, Pascal Siakam. That one raised my eyebrow just a skosh. Cade Cunningham. Woohoo! Tyler Hero, also a big one. And Evan Mobley, and there are two of the three Cleveland Cavaliers on that list. But the snubs, correct me if I'm wrong, they feel snubbier in the East, Lou. Am I right or am I wrong? Feels a little bit bigger.
I feel bad for Trae. I feel like Trae could have gotten in. He's done enough to get in, leads the league in assists, also leads guards in double doubles. The fact that his field goal percentages were down a little bit, we can nitpick that. But again, now we're realizing that winning is being saluted and it's being respected. And when people started to vote, Trae Young started to struggle a little bit because they had some injuries in their lineup, and his team began to slide collectively. And I think for Trae individually, that affected him getting in. But also when you look at the list, which guys would you take out? I think everybody there is deserving. If they had a few more spots, I think a Trae Young gets in. I think we may have a conversation for a guy like a LaMelo Ball and guys of that nature. But other than that, it comes down to who would you replace, right? All 7 of these guys are deserving. Siakam was a surprise to me. I would have liked to seen, Cleveland having a historic season, allow them to do something historic like the Atlanta Hawks did back in the day, have 4 guys. But Siakam is playing well. We can debate it. We can go back and forth about it. But I would have liked to see Cleveland have their historical year, having 4 guys, just based on the basketball they were playing. Based on the basketball they were playing.
It's kind of like Golden State back in the day, right?
OKC doesn't get 4. Okay, all right, I'm listening. I like it.
They don't have 4 guys that's impacting winning at the clip that the Cleveland Cavaliers are impacting winning.
A lot of injuries. So if they were still balling and Isaiah was healthy or Chet was healthy, they could have gotten 3, So
there you go.
But I'm with you. I love the fact that they're valuing winning with this. Pascal's my guy, so I'm not gonna vote against him. I would have loved to have seen said. I would have loved to see said Trae should have. He was definitely deserving. I would have loved to have seen some other my guys get in there. Tyrese Maxey, Zach LaVine. So LaMelo is sad that they just can't win games, and a lot of these guys are missing out with injury. LaMelo has some injuries, but they're just not winning games. And of course, you know, the team that is the sleeper that had a lot of injuries that is still playing pretty well is Orlando. You know, Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, those guys are special and great. And I think this is the reason why people are shocked that Pascal Siakam made it, because those guys were out. You know, these guys weren't playing as many games as him, so he got in and by position. And that's how it goes sometimes, unfortunately. So I'm happy for him. I know Orlando's going to come back, you know, after the All-Star break, hopefully healthy with a vengeance and a chip on the shoulder. Next year, those guys are going to have something to prove. But that was another team that I would like to see what they can do in the postseason.
Yeah, Orlando for sure would have had one, if not two. I mean, we started the season out thinking they were for sure 2 All-Stars on that team, and an injury got them. Trae Young, we mentioned, it seems to be one of the ones most people want to talk about. He also was not happy. We got a new word in the English language. It's no longer called getting snubbed. It's called getting trade. Sorry to my fans. It'll change eventually. All right, talk soon. And then he went out and had 15. Come on, Trae. Put money on that. By the way, assists, 20 points a game, 10 assists per game since. That was him 2023. Lowest points per game since rookie year. I guess maybe that's, if we're trying to pick apart perhaps why he didn't make it. I don't know. I really don't. I think it's the positions that's the problem.
Position and winning.
I think it's just position and winning. And again, his points are down, but why are his points down? His assists are up. Like, he's bought into team basketball. He's bought into winning. He's not taking these wild shots, these long shots. Like, he's adjusted his game and he was doing everything necessary. However, he's on a team that they have to do things by committee. So when you have a Jalen Johnson in and out of the lineup, you have a DeAndre Hunter who's not healthy sometimes, and then, you know, he finds his way. And then they start going on these slides, right? Who's the one guy that they're going to point at? They're going to point at Trae Young. Down in Charlotte, when they're not winning games, who's the one guy they're going to point at? They're going to point at LaMelo Ball. So even though the points are down, even though some of these things are down, he's doing great in other areas, especially in areas where we criticize him. So I don't understand, what do we want from this guy at this point? You know, if you're getting Trae, you know, this is 2 years in a row. I think we had another scenario where he felt like he should have got in. You know, it's at this point, he just got to make it undeniable. He got to go on one of those runs and make it undeniable. Early in this season, you know, the Hawks were floating around that 4 through 6 area. Then they slide to 9. That makes it tough on the voters. That makes it tough on these coaches to make these picks, especially when you have other guys that are impacting winning and they're at the top of the Eastern Conference, and they have numbers just as similar.
The trick is LaMelo, right? The fan vote, he had a pretty big run in the fan vote department. I wonder if they'll ever address that. Like, is that something they may tweak in the future, right? Like, it almost is telling the fans, thanks for voting.
Your votes don't matter. Yeah.
So.
But I mean, unfortunately for Trae, that is catchy term, and it's probably going to be remembered for like Munson. I don't know if y'all remember Kingpin, but getting Munson, Trae is going to be, you know, he's going to be known as I don't even know what you call it, but yeah. It's a hell of a catchy little term there. Did you just Kingpin the show, Danny?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys have touched on it a bunch, and I appreciate it, because I think maybe there was a time when it didn't. But really, if we're doing the All-Star Game rosters, I understand the winning is important in the overall scheme of things, but should it matter for the All-Star Game so much? I mean, after all, it's fans wanting to see the big names, the splashy stars, and, you know, Steph Curry's starting in the West, and the Warriors are not very good right now. So what does it mean? What should matter the most here, Danny?
I mean, there's a lot of things that they're trying to change, and they think it's going to fix it. I just don't see that being any of those things being the solution, because at the end of the day, people want to see guys play and play hard. And in today's world, that's just not going to happen. Guys are not going to risk their bodies and risking getting injured in the middle of the season for an All-Star game against, you know, a lot of their friends. These are their buddies and pals. It's buddies weekend. You know, they get to hang out with guys from other teams finally and not be in a competitive mode in their mind. Back in the day, that was the thing. So no matter how you frame it, I mean, the challenges, I think, could be fun. You know, you can find ways to make the dunk challenge, like the dunk contest, a little better. And really, there's not many dunks you can do, but just having the people do those dunks, right? The right people that people want to see do those dunks. If you get the Zions, the Ja Morants, cool. 3-point contest is always fun for me. They could find ways to make that even more interesting if they add a 4-point line. But the game, in a sense, no matter how you frame it, it's going to kind of stink, you know, because guys not going to play. They're not going to play hard, right? So you want to see real matchups, real guys there. And that's the only way to get people like interested in watching that game.
I want to propose something, and this is via D Wade. I had a conversation with D Wade last week, and he gave me some perspective and point of view on All-Star weekend, especially on Sunday when there's the big game. He says you're up early. You have so many different obligations all day for that game. You got photo shoots. You're taking pictures with corporate sponsors. You got an autograph session. You're meeting and greeting people. You're busy all day. And then at 8 o'clock, they're like, boom, let's go play a basketball game. Let's just structure Sunday as a basketball game. Have a shoot around, have a light practice, maybe have the corporate sponsors come there. All of the other stuff, do that on Saturday, and allow these guys to focus on a basketball game on Sunday. And maybe you'll get a better product. Other than that, these guys they're running around, they're doing this and that. By the time the game comes around, they're exhausted, they're tired, they just want to get out of there. That was something that I didn't even realize that was going on. I've never been an All-Star before. That's never been my experience. So hearing that, I'm like, well, maybe there is an opportunity for us to fix this thing. Maybe if on Sunday, take away all the business, take away all of the entertainment, then let's focus on basketball for 24 hours and maybe we'll get a better product. So I was interested in hearing your guys' opinion on that part.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Who had a problem with that, Danny? Seems...
I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. And I think they should set a day just for that. Like, let that be knocked out on Friday or something like that. And the guys that aren't in challenges on Saturday can get it done. So Sunday is just an easy day. I think that's an easy fix now, because back in the day, All-Star Weekend was really just the weekend. Now it's a week long. You know, I remember when it was just 4 days. Now they get the week. So you can find a time within the, obviously they don't give them the second half of the week for them to rest, but there's time to do those other things outside of your game and challenges. So I don't think anybody have a problem with that. It would help. But ultimately, still, these guys got to want to play. Like, if they don't play, it's gonna be very watered down. You know, guys shooting from half court, doing trick shots and dunks, which is cool for some young kids. But the real fans that used to be watching from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s are used to these guys going at each other in a head-to-head game, like a real game.
But Danny, we're creatures of habit, right? We're creatures of habit. So think about on a game day.
Create that habit,
if you create that,
lock in more.
Can you imagine on a game day, you're on the road somewhere, because a lot of these guys not in their home facilities. You're on the road somewhere. They're telling you, hey, we're gonna bring these fans in. You got to meet these guys. Hey, this is American Express. Shake hands with this guy. We got 1,000 basketballs for you to sign. And then we're going back to the hotel, and you're like focused on the game. And then you leave the hotel, get back to the arena. Now I have more obligations. And then they're like, all right, we're gonna hoop. If you structure this thing like, yo, Sunday, shoot around, closed doors, we're locked in, this is what we're doing, we're going to work on this and that, go back to the hotel, get some rest. Creatures of habit, I think you get a better game, you get a better product if you allow Sunday to just be the focus on basketball.
I like it. Yeah. It's an easy fix. You have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then on Sunday, you have celebrities and stuff running around so they can pick up the slack for whatever appearances need to occur. There are other ball players there that are not in the game itself. They'll be able to do it. To me, it just seems almost too logical, Lou. There's
so many ideas out there. Yes, but there's a lot of ideas that could make this better.
From running back.
Listen to us. Right. All it takes is one guy to really set the tone and be like, all right, let's do this. Or you make it the world versus USA. There's so many ways they can make this like competitive.
It's still one thing I'm confused about with this new with the new format.
Me too.
We just picked the East and we just picked the West. They're gonna break those three teams down into 3 teams. I don't understand.
That's what I'm saying.
And also
Wemby's an all-star for the West, but he's a rising star. So then you kind of rip off the rising star team because Wemby's not going to be on that. By the way, shame on us for not knowing, but shame on the league for not making it clearer. How about that? Everybody's in trouble. Blame it on all. Zion Williamson, we did get to hear from him, by the way. He's not playing in back-to-backs yet this season. And yesterday, he addressed it.
Let me make this clear to everybody out there. If I can play in the back-to-backs, I would. I physically, yes, I can. But I work for the Pelicans. They have decided that based off the numbers, it's not smart to do that right now. So, if that's what they feel, I'm rocking with them on that. But yes, if I could play in a back-to-back, I would.
Okay.
What do you think? Looks like he's in good shape, though. I'll say that.
He looks good, though. He looks fit.
Looks like in good shape. It's like, all right, look like he's been doing some healthy things. But
do we believe it? How are we taking the words? Like, he sounds frustrated for sure. I mean, that's obvious.
I think he's frustrated with the questions more than the fact that he's not been able to play. I think he knows what his body is capable of doing. I wouldn't say I'm not rolling, but I said he would like to be healthy. His body, he would like his body to be able to hold up. He knows his body. He was out for a while, came back for a game, does a 360 windmill dunk, and the next game he's out. So it's like he gave us a little glimpse of what he's capable of doing, but it's like I can only do it for these amount of spurts. So he understands that, but ultimately, yes, I think he's frustrated with people asking him about the back-to-backs and the minutes and the questions. It's only human nature to be tired of the same questions over and over.
Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what I like though, Danny? And Beadle, I like the fact that he just said blame the Pelicans, bro. If I could, I would.
Don't come for me.
Yeah,
go for them.
Stop asking me questions. I feel good. I feel healthy. I look good. I look like I can go out and compete on back-to-backs and nights where that's necessary. This is not my decision. Talk to them. So I can appreciate it. Take all the burden off of my shoulders, because at the end of the day, he's the only person in the public eye. He's the person that has to deal with these questions. He has to deal with the criticisms. Nobody else is there to answer those questions. He took the pressure off of himself. If I could, I would talk to them. So I'm down for it, Zion. I'm going with it.
Look, we know his track record. We know how many games he's missed over the course of his career. Here's what I'll never understand. Rather than, he hasn't played 30 minutes in a game yet since he's come back. Rather than doing it that way, why not build it up? So if you have a back-to-back, why not do 20 minutes and 20 minutes? That way you get to play in the games. I've never understood sort of the idea of like all or nothing. You're going to play in a game or you're not going to play. You're not even going to dress. Like I guess that's the medical I don't get.
I think it's all preference on the player too, right? Some guys don't want to half-ass. Like if I'm going to play, let me play full, extent for the game. I don't want to come in 5 minutes. Some guys just can't get a rhythm. And then ultimately at the end of the day, it makes them look bad. It hurts their numbers. So, me, I'm going to play as many games as possible. I don't know how Lou was, but if it's minute restriction, I'm a minute restriction. It sucks, but I didn't care too much about the numbers. But some guys are like, you know what, I want to be at full strength and I want to play a full game. And if that's the case, then if I have to sit a game here or there, cool. But don't have me playing 2 or 3 minutes at a time and put me on minute restriction, that sense. So it's really preference on the player. But I'm with you. I feel like you could play 25 and 25, but said he might not want to do that. He might want to play, his 30 and then sit the next day.
I was about to say, we need to at least get the 30 though. At least let us have, like, we're not getting either one. We're not getting 30-minute games, and we're not getting back-to-backs. And so, do they have a program where he's going to rev up at some point? I would hope so. But for this to be the blueprint going forward, like you're just not going to play in back-to-backs, I don't see how that can be valuable to Zion. I don't see how that can be valuable to the New Orleans Pelicans. You need them on the floor to win basketball games, But also, if you're trying to shop him as well, you might want to keep him as healthy as possible. Also,
good point.
That's another caveat that you have to look at. So not seeing him for 30 minutes a game, not seeing him in back-to-backs, that may be for the New Orleans Pelicans all the way around the board. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, that's a buyer beware situation regardless. So that's all right. Some of these things will never make sense to me. That's okay. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, there were some games last night. We're going to start with them. And Rockets, Grizzlies, yes, we'll be back.
Run it back, run it up.
Well, we got a fun one last night. No jaw. Got a Bane play here. Boom. Jaren Jackson. We got a minute and 11 left. And then Van Vliet has 2 misses at the end of this one. Jaren Jackson hits the free throw, leads the Grizzlies. They win by 1. Desmond Bane finished with 24 and 12. Jaren Jackson finished with 21 points. But there is a moment in this game, guys, a referee moment, which ultimately their butts got saved. But they call a timeout that the Grizzlies never called. This is right as Jalen Williams is going in for the layup. They realized immediately, by the way, that this was a mistake. I don't even know how that matters. And the Grizzlies did win. But, Lou, this is potentially a pretty bad boo-boo for the refs.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was looking at Taylor to see if he even motioned or anything, like the body language that'll make him right.
He said what he was yelling. He said, "Let's go, go." And I think the ref mistaken. I don't know how you mistaken go for a timeout. You know,
Yeah, I don't either. But, you know, the refs got to get back to a place of just reffing the game and not dictating or not trying to be smarter than everybody else, thinking that, you know, a coach is going to, usually coaches will call a timeout in that scenario. You got to allow the players and the coaches to determine the games, and you guys are there to keep it in line and in check. That's your job, you know, and that's why I'm against us publicly criticizing referees or showing where their fines, because once you do that, you create personalities, you make them more a part of the game. So as important as they are, they got to chill out. They got to take a step back and get back to allowing players and the coaches to determine the outcomes of games. But luckily, this worked for the Memphis Grizzlies. Other than that, this has been a PR nightmare with gamblers and people that love to say that the NBA games are rigged and all of this nonsense. You know what I mean? And so this was terrible.
I mean, the Grizzlies winning certainly saved them in this one, Danny.
Yes.
But is there a world in which they hear? Like, if he's saying go, 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 I'm trying to make that even sound like timeout. I really can't. But is there a world in which they hear somebody else say it? Like, they're just anticipating too much? Like,
you can even see them doing this.
I know, there's no hand.
You know, they probably just assumed, or somebody maybe one of the players, young players, told them we might want to timeout if they score. And in their head, they might have had it. You know, I want to give them some grace. In my younger days, I used to not really care to give referees grace, but they're only human too, so they make mistakes. I'm glad this worked out for them. Ultimately, at the end of the day, so there was a time where I thought we need more players to become referees because the game is very fast for them. You know, and they don't, you know, ex-players, but no ex-players wants to be a referee. But yes, they're doing the best they can. They could add a fourth person, open up the job, you know, make it look, because there's too many times where they make mistakes and they review it and still mess it up. And it's like, yo, how can you know, if the reviews should be shorter, you need to take 5 minutes to figure something out. Have somebody on staff or a fourth person or in studio that was a player and then give you a better feel for the game. Like, all right, look, this should be called, this should not be called. Because there's too many times where I see the 2-minute warning or, you know, the 2-minute drill where it's like, oh, we made a mistake. And it's like, you had time in the moment to fix it. You had time during the game to make this right. So, but they're only human. I just would like to see them take more accountability for it. But listen, the NBA does a 2-minute drill, but they should be like, I messed up. They should get a fine. Like we get fined sometimes, you know.
But think about it, Danny. Think about if you put, I don't want to say his name. Think about if you put some of these referees with personalities in front of the camera, and now they have to.
Is it Scott Foster? Are you talking about Scott Foster? You're talking, okay.
They have to give you an explanation for their mistakes. Now they become a part of the game. Now you got referees dressing a certain way. You got them carrying themselves a certain way.
The NBA can speak for them. Now, NBA said this person got fined.
Now they are a part of the game. That's the part I don't want. Because once they have to start answering questions, now you are a part of the contest.
I'm not saying, I'm with you. I'm not saying they have to do it publicly to a camera. But a lot of times when you talk to a coach, like coaches talking to them, players talking to them, some of these guys don't think they're ever wrong. It's like, bro, I don't mind you saying, yo, I made a mistake. D, I owe you one. Cool, I'll walk away. A lot of times, like, go to your bench, don't talk. I'm like, we grown men, we can't talk. You know what I'm saying? And you act insensitive. The game is not about you. I'm just having a conversation. What did you see? I think you're wrong. Go look at that for me at halftime. Go look at me when you got a chance. Some of them are okay. Some of them you can't even talk to. And I'm like, bro, I just want you to just say, yo, I made a mistake. And then you don't have to do that publicly. But when they make these public mistakes, the league should hold them accountable. And obviously they have the 2-minute thing, but we never know when they get penalized or fined. It may not be fined, but they say, all right, we don't book you for as many games because you made these mistakes. Right. We can't put you in the playoff situation. We can't put you in this round of this.
But we don't know that.
I'm down for that.
Know.
Yeah. Now, I'm down for that. But like, I don't want them to have
any platform.
because it's a couple of them out there. It's a couple of them out there with podcasts like us all, and they have opinions. And it's like, no, we don't want those opinions because that just messes with the game for me personally. That's my opinion.
God, Lou, I didn't peg you for a shut up and ref guy, but here we are. I didn't see it coming.
Because again, you get to a place with some of them where they feel like they are a part of the game and they have ego and they are star referees. So I would hate for you to put them in a position after the game and say, hey, so what did you see on that call? And now you're opening up the door to create a different type of monster. I'm good.
I didn't used to see your way on that, but I do now.
Actually, were you saying it now? I would love to see that because I want to see them get criticized. I want them to have Twitter, Instagram. I want them to have all the DMs we get of what the hell, Mark David, Tony Brothers. Like, what are you thinking, Zach? Zach, get all of the stuff we get.
I mean,
from,
Zach Zarba loves the camera. He can talk about it after.
Yes, I think all these guys are great. I'm not saying these guys are terrible. I'm just thinking the names of referees that I know offhand right away. People could have been at Eric. Like, Eric, are you cheating, Eric? Are you a Boston fan? I want to see them get all of that we get. You know what I'm saying? That would be kind of funny. Interesting.
Right.
I mean, it's already a reality show to begin with, so why not?
We're going to work on it. We're going to make it happen. I don't know how many people. You all watch this one? Lakers Wizards? Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh, God. Wizards 16th.
It was a blowout,
16th.
So yeah.
Straight loss. That's rough. LeBron with 24 and 11. Rui finished with 22. Washington's second 16-game losing streak this season. By the way, I feel like I've said that before, and that's sad. JJ Redick said the Lakers played angry after this one, Danny. Do you need angry for the Wizards? Like, talk to me.
The bully beating up on the wimpy kid. Like, I mean, it's good to see them play angry, but do that against you guys got the Knicks coming up soon. You got the Clippers.
There you go. Saturday,
show me anger during those games. And this was good. I love to see Bronny get in and play better, have a bounce back game. They got a good win, but these are the games they're supposed to win with AD having his injury. They're supposed to rack up on these wins with this road trip because it's the weaker part of their schedule, right? They have Utah in there a couple times. They have Portland. They have the Washingtons, the Hornets. They had an injured Philly that they lost to the other night, what they had no business doing, but AD was hurt. So, give them a little grace. But yes, you shouldn't need anger for this type of team. And Washington, we got to do something here to penalize, the losing as well, or tanking on purpose. We got to find a way to get guys to care, man. So
2 16-game losing streaks.
And we only played 40. We only played like 45 games.
That's bad, man.
32 games lost. Like,
did they play angry? It looked like they were having a fantastic time. I mean, it looked like they were having a ball.
I'm sure it started out that way till they got up 15-20 early, and it was like, all right, let's get everybody in.
Yeah, I saw dancing, high fives, and smiles and laughs. And every bench player scored. Everybody on the bench at least scored 4 points. Like, come on, man. That looks like a fantastic time to me. All right.
I mean, look, Lou, we've talked about the Wizards a lot. It hasn't been positive. The most positive thing right now is Jordan Poole's cat committee that he's forming behind closed doors. But 2 16-game losing streaks is a real hard pill to swallow. There are guys on this team, great players, and then there are young guys. And this is their career. This is their NBA career. You have to do something at this point. I mean, you're just making an awful situation. And some of these guys may never recover from something like this. What do you do?
The first thing you should do is, I was going to say, first thing you do is free Valanciunas. Get him out of there.
Free him.
Brogdon, there's a lot of guys that need to be freed. But you got to find a way to get them care.
Yeah, get a few of these guys out of there, and another few guys deserve everything that's coming with these 16-game losing streaks, right? It's. I don't have anything positive to say. It's just
unprofessional.
You're not seeing anything good coming out of it. Like, you can look at a team and see that they're building in the right direction, or they're trying, or, some positives. I can't take any positives out of this. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm this, right? So we always make a way case to give guys more money. Like, all right, here's the in-season tournament cup. We get to win more money.
I like
you gotta be able to lose money too. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's gotta be some guys who can't play hard. You better believe. You start docking checks. Y'all lose 16 games. What the?
Hey,
yo, listen.
Daddy, you sound like a fan right now.
G League is getting your pay tonight.
I'm with it.
Your game checks going to the G Leaguer. Like, what are we doing? We gotta you gotta care. There's not enough care there at all. You gotta challenge and punish tanking on purpose.
But who's not caring?
Nobody wants to see that.
The whole team? Like, when you say unprofessional, where are we starting? Coaching,
when you
the
just
organization?
Get to a place where you're just showing up. When you're just showing up.
Just for work. I'm showing up for work. This is not that type of job.
That's unprofessional, yeah.
This is not that type of job where you just show up for work. You have to come and you perform. Your physical activity is dictating your performance. Like, you have to come at least show you're playing hard at least. I would be okay if they actually were in games and lost. They lost a bunch of games within under 10 points, or a couple of them. They're losing a lot of these games by 20. Now, if you threaten their position or their check with a G League guy, listen, we'll give this guy opportunity, a G League guy opportunity, because there's a lot of G League guys or even overseas guys that are waiting to get in and get an opportunity to hoop. If you dock pay, we always find ways to boost the pay. I bet you start docking pay, guys will care.
Danny, you sound like a man of the people right now. You better watch yourself.
No,
It's gonna make some players mad.
I'm a retired player.
Listen, it's one thing to go out there and compete and get your butt whipped, but it's another thing to watch body language, to see that these guys are just carrying it like they're going through the motions. It's two completely different things that we're talking about here.
Easy for me to say, Michelle, as a retired player.
I know, I get it. No, look, I mean, I remember when Ricky Williams did that incentive-based contract, everybody thought he was nuts. He was like, you're not going to get paid unless you do certain things well. Like, people thought it was crazy, and it was sort of a revolutionary at the time. But they do have names. You've mentioned a couple already. If they were tanking, you would think that they would have gotten rid of these dudes already and just
I think it starts from the top. I think it starts from the top. Obviously, I think the information, the atmosphere, that is based on from the top to bottom. It goes from front office down to coaching staff because they can make an environment to where guys that care with this. All right, you're gonna lollygag. We're gonna make sure you run, or you just won't play. Guys want to play because ultimately it hurts their numbers, hurts their contract. We'll play the guys that care over here. We're gonna play. We're gonna bring up the G League two-way guys. If you guys want to play, cool. That's fine with me. There's a way to figure out from the top to bottom to make that atmosphere a more serious work environment.
This next one, Ernie Johnson and the guys released the lists of all-star reserves, and then the Hawks and Cavs play the next game. And a lot of drama just behind on this one. But it was an easy one for Cleveland. 137-115. The Hawks with their 7th straight loss. Darius Garland, 26-7. Donovan with 24. They're 22-26 now, Atlanta is on the season. 9th in the West. In the West? No. They have Jalen Johnson for the rest of the season. He's out. We already know that, which has been a bummer as well. Lou, I know you stand by this team. It's your hometown. They started out the season in such a way that we were very excited
Last
for
team
them.
I played
We thought 2 All-Stars. I mean, that's where they started.
Yeah.
Do they have enough? Can they turn it around?
I think they do. I think they just got to lock in and refocus. Jalen's not coming back this year. Trae missed All-Star. Those things are said and done. They're written in stone. That's over with, right? Now let's move forward. Let's figure out a way to get this thing back on track. Losing 7 straight with the group that you have is unacceptable. I think they still have enough. Now, Jalen Johnson was a big part of that. He was a major component of a lot of those winning games and being paired up with Trae Young. However, a lot of those guys outside of that are part of the core of this group that's been there the last 4 or 5 years. They have enough. They have plenty enough to win the game. So now that these parts of the season are out of the way, Trae's not in, Jalen Johnson's not in, we got to figure out a way to right this ship and get us back in playoff contention. That should be the focus moving forward. Let's get this team back in a playoff scenario. 9 isn't going to cut it. We got to get back to a guaranteed playoff spot. We don't want to continue to be a play-in team just 3 years removed from being in the Eastern Conference Finals. They have enough. I'm sure they'll be active at the deadline to see how they can beef up at their forward position, see if they can make something shake there. But I still feel like they have enough. They just got to refocus and get back to winning ways.
No?
I'm saying no.
Damn, okay.
Because Jalen Johnson's just too big of a piece. And I don't think they lose 7 straight without him. But he is the franchise guy. And I love what they have for the future. The only good thing for them, they are still in the East. So, yes, they have a chance to be in the play-in and to be able to be in the playoffs. But to where I expected them to be, with how good they were, they should have been top 6. But I don't think without Jalen Johnson, they were there. But without him, I don't see them getting back to that. I see them kind of staying afloat, but staying around the 10, 11, maybe 12 mark, but ultimately probably losing in the play-in without him for the rest of the season. But listen, for their future, I love the foundation they have. Jalen Johnson, Trae, Dyson Daniels. I don't know how to pronounce the young fella's name. Ricochet. I don't know. The young.
Who knows? There it is.
You go.
By the way, a game-high 30 last night for the French kid.
Listen,
hey, not so bad.
Bring these kids. These young kids are going to be they're athletic, active defensively. They are a problem with how they play. And I saw in the in-season tournament, the cup games. They're good. So I love what they have.
They're 2 games out of 6, Daddy. I can't turn my back
for
on
Danny.
The favorite, the best thing is that they're in the
6.
East. It's the best thing about them. They're
That
in
does
the
help.
East. I want to see what their
helps.
strength of schedule is, but without Jalen Johnson, and said if Trae is not putting up crazy numbers after this All-Star break, it's going to be very tough because Bogey has some injuries. He's in and out sometimes. DeAndre Hunter, like a lot of their guys, they have these bumps. Jalen Johnson was the key, the young guy that kept them stable, that was going to play all the games, at least 78, that was going to keep you afloat. And with him gone, it's like, damn, there's a lot of inconsistency, a lot of instability, and it's like we will have some days and games where we don't know who we are and identity, and you can't have that. So the only thing on their side is that they're in the East.
I'm agreeing with you. But that's the last uniform I wore. It's still personal to me because
gotta ride with your guys.
That's the last crop of my teammates right there. And I lived it, Daddy. I gotta walk these streets, man.
Yeah,
I like it.
I'm rooting for Philly too, but listen, I'm rooting for Philly too. That was my last team as well, but I don't know. Unless Joel gets back healthy 100%, it's not looking good for us either. And I'm like, damn, come on, Philly, like let's get right.
It must be nice to be so loyal to the place you last worked. It doesn't work like that out here in the southern part of the world. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, is KD the most talented player in the world? When we come back.
Run it up, run it back.
KD is the best basketball scorer of all time. Most talented basketball player of all time. I've never seen nothing like this.
Those are some big words all put together in a row there, Lou. I mean, he's played with Allen Iverson. He's obviously played against LeBron. What do you think about what he said?
You got to agree. He said the most talented. The most talented is what he said. So you got to agree. KD was the original unicorn. He was the first guy that we saw at 7 feet that could handle the basketball, put it on the floor. He had a mid-range. He had a three. He had post-game. He could finish at the rim. He would shoot over guys. He had the IQ. He got all of the pieces. He was the original guy that we saw at his size that we had never seen before. He was the first guy. And Andre Iguodala had a front row seat to that show, and he won a championship. So I got to agree with Andre here. And you'll find a lot of people that do agree with Andre. Sometimes people just hear the most or the best or this and that, and they stop listening after that, and they start thinking about their personal opinions. Just stop for a second and listen to what he said. The most talented basketball player. Absolutely. Kevin Durant is the most talented basketball player at that size. It's nothing that he doesn't have in his bag. He's one of the most talented basketball players and scorers the game has ever seen. I agree.
Yeah, I'm with Lou. I'm with Lou and Iggy on this 100%. There's a lot of guys that are tough to guard in this league. I've had my fair share of Derrick Rose and Kyrie's, Steph Curry's and Clay's run off pin downs, even JJ's. There's a bunch of random guys that are tough to guard. The only one that was consistently the hardest to guard throughout my whole tenure in my career was Kevin Durant. And there was no way to stop him. You just had to hope that he missed shots. And he got to his spots. He got to his mid-range. He could score on all 3 levels. He's just nothing short of amazing. Honestly, could have been the best player walking this earth in the history of the game if he kind of wanted to. People just question his leadership and obviously the way he won or where he went to go win. But if he wins those championships in OKC, and if he, got more than one or a couple, because I think he was deserving of more than one MVP, but he was just never known to be, I guess, that type of leader or that type of alpha. If he had a different mentality, he would be the best thing we've ever seen in this game, in the history of the game by far. Because yes, he is the most talented. We've never seen a guy at 7 feet. Let's say 1B now, but the way he moves is very different. The way he moved, the way he could shoot like a guard, there's nobody said that can score better than him or as easy as he made it seem. Obviously, Allen Iverson was a great scorer. Carmelo Anthony was great. All these guys were great scorers, but he just makes it look so easy because it's so pretty, easy to him.
It's very artistic.
Yeah, he probably wasn't the greatest alpha, right?
Yeah.
Remember the playoff series where we felt like we had him on the ropes with the Clippers, right? And he came out and he said, I'm Kevin Durant. I can go out and score 50 points a game whenever I want to, but I'm trying to play basketball the right way. I'm trying to play in a team concept, but y'all know who I am. And we were sitting there looking like, is he crazy? And what did he do the very next game? He went out, gave us a 50 ball, and sent us to Cabo. You dig what I'm saying? Like he's that type of player. If he had that alpha mentality where every night I'm gonna go out and dog y'all, it would be tough on the league for everybody. But he tries to play the right way. He tries to play within a team concept. Got to give him credit as well.
For sure. He'd be a top 5 player of all time. And I said, I've seen what he's done. And we look at Kawhi, one of the greatest two-way players of all time. And I've seen him match up with Kawhi. I haven't seen him he gave us 50 one time too. We're in Toronto. He's in Golden State. I think they had a couple guys out. Steph might have been out. But yes, he's given your favorite players, your best defenders 50 points in the world. So if he did that consistently, if he just had that mentality and didn't play in a system, if he was like Mike just made himself the system. Like James Harden, I'm not a system player. I am the system. If he just thought that everywhere he went, he would be top 5 all-time history.
A little MJ mixed with KD would be insanity. Danny, this one's to you first. Bob Myers said if he was building a team to win a championship, Nikola Jokic would be his first pick. Would it be your first pick, or would you pick someone else?
In today's game, like now,
like today, you're doing it all.
I mean, LeBron is 40, so yes, I'm going to go with, he's the LeBron James of big men, so it's either him or Luka, right? I just think he is the best all-around player.
What about that tall guy down in San Antonio? What are we thinking about that?
He's still young. I think he's very special and he's very good. He's up and coming. He would be number 2, but because he's just such a great defender, offense and defensively, it's him and Jokic. But Jokic can pick you apart in so many different ways, and he's experienced right now. So right now, the numbers he's putting up, scoring-wise, rebounding-wise, assist-wise, he can make a lot of people better. Wemby is still he's great individually. He's still learning how to make his teammates better. So he's still blossoming. So what he'll become, he for sure will be that guy. But he's right there behind him. But Jokic right now in today's game, it's either him. Luka's another one of those guys that can pick you apart in multiple ways, but it's probably more Jokic than
and also with Jokic, you've seen it already. So it's easy to say this is the guy to pick to build a championship culture because you've seen him lead a team to a championship. But it's a lot of young guys out there. Wembanyama is one of them. SGA is going to be obviously Luka. You can even make a case for the guys that actually won a championship in Boston that are also considered young guys still, and Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. A lot of different young guys, but obviously when you see the numbers that Jokic put up and he already has MVPs and the championship in his resume, it's easy to say.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll run it back on the other side.
Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it up.
Guys, guess what? We don't get to see Embiid and Jokic again tonight. Who's excited to not get to see that? Raise your hand.
Sucks. Darn it.
Sucks. But Philly going for their 5th straight win. So good luck to them. See you on Monday. Bye.
Yeah.